Ref app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Are you ready for the best in Sooner football recruiting news? Then it's time to get locked in with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Whether you're a recruiting doomer or sunshine pumper, text the guys on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And call your shot on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line at 405-329-9000.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, Grayson, I'm in rough shape, brother. I'm in rough shape today.
Yeah?
I am at war with my own body. My immune system is working overtime to try and stave off illness, and I am heavily medicated. So, just know that in advance as we buckle down and get ready for another hour here on Locked In.
You need me to fire up the text line again I already did today?
Yeah, I heard the whole Baker-Kyler thing had quite a few texters up in arms.
Yeah, it did.
There are such debates that are always good, that make for good sports radio. But, yeah, if I just start babbling nonsense at a certain point in time, you're going to have to take the reins. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but
I think
it may.
We'll be all right.
It may. The show is brought to you today by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones is family-owned and operated. Many of their employees have been with the company for 20-plus years, and they're staffed with folks who are eager to serve you before, during, and after the buying process, including with half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So, head out to El Reno, check out Dorsey Jones, and hit us up throughout the show on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. Bank like a champion with First Liberty Bank, and text like a champion here on Locked In. Well, we have to start here, Grayson, because we had my man just busted out laughing. What is it?
Lucas Kelly on the YouTube chat says, Parker's always sick. Bro, weak at immune system.
I am not
Which you
sick.
are not always sick.
Don't come at me with that nonsense,
You are not
Lucas.
always sick.
Hey, I'm on the Cal Ripken streak, baby. Been here almost 5 years. I have never taken a sick day.
Really?
I have never taken a sick day. I'm hoping I don't have to this week. Powering through. Hurt, not injured. But yeah, Cooper Whitten committed yesterday to the illustrious University of Oklahoma, Grayson, and we had all about 90 seconds to react to it because it dropped at 2:53 local time. We went off air at 2:55. Now, this is not, or rather should not be, a commitment that takes anybody by surprise because, well, his dad is on staff at Oklahoma. OU was his first offer. He'd been a regular in Norman throughout his recruitment. This was not a terribly surprising development. But to get the number 2 linebacker in America, according to the Rivals industry rankings, on board this early and at this particular juncture, Grayson, is quite significant. And if we're just starting with Cooper Whitten, the player, this is a kid that, again, per Rivals, is a top 35 player in the nation, number 2 running back, somebody that checks all of the boxes, all of the requisite boxes that you look for in a guy that can play the linebacker position at a very high level in Brent Venables' system.
Yeah, he does. And he is every bit of the elite prospect that people make him out to be. And I was going through Twitter earlier this morning, late yesterday, and there were some people saying, well, Cooper Whitten, this is like the dark side of Twitter, saying that Cooper Whitten is only a 5-star because of his name. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. He's every bit of a 5-star guy. And said this earlier today, Oklahoma would have had to royally screw this up for Cooper Whitten not to land in the class, but ultimately it's not something that should be slept on because you made your layups. And sometimes it's just as easy as making your layups and you've got the cornerstones of a good class. But there is no better place in the United States of America right now for a linebacker to go play than the University of Oklahoma, where your head coach has a linebacker background, and he has filled that defensive staff with guys like Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin and so on and so forth, with guys who have linebacker backgrounds. So you are going to get the best mentoring and teaching and coaching at the linebacker position at the University of Oklahoma. So it makes sense for Cooper Whitten to come on board. And it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can crack the rotation and get on the field, how quickly he can grasp the defense, and how quickly he becomes a major force in the SEC.
The smartest players are generally the coach's kids, right?
I would say so.
That's an experience that we all shared. Like, if you grew up around the game, you grew up immersed in it, you grew up in those huddles and on those sidelines from an early age, you're very much at home in that environment, and you're generally a step ahead of your peers from a cognitive standpoint. And Cooper Whitten is very genetically blessed, not only to have a dad that's a distinguished coach and a successful coach in the Texas high school football ranks and now on staff at the University of Oklahoma, but his dad, in addition to being a coach, also happened to play 17 years of professional football at a very high level that will land him in Canton one day. And so when you think about those two aspects of the Cooper Whitten experience, and then you flip on the tape, it's very, very easy to envision a world in which this guy is making an early impact at Oklahoma, because on tape, he's a demon, man. He can really run. He's a 10-9 guy on the track, which is faster than some wide receivers will run. And this is a guy that's going to play linebacker. He's played a lot of safety. He's played a lot of receiver throughout his high school career. He's played some linebacker as well. But linebacker is going to be his thing at the next level. It's a possibility you could see him at Cheetah just because of how well he moves. But I've told this story before, I believe, on the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast. I don't think I've told it on the radio. But the day that Cooper Whitten picked up the offer from Oklahoma was one of the most memorable days of OU elite camp that I have ever been a part of. Because Cooper Whitten had just finished his freshman year of high school. He was a class of 2027 kid back when the class of 2027 felt like forever away. Like, holy crap, we're starting to talk about 2027 kids? That's how it was at the time in June of 2024. And Cooper Whitten at that time is probably about 195 pounds. He's not the 6'2", 220 guy that he is today. At the time, he was maybe 6 foot 6'1", about 195 pounds. He was the size of a safety, the size of a defensive back, as opposed to being the size of a linebacker. And that day, Mr. Singleton, he lined up at cornerback at camp.
You have told the story before.
I have?
Yes, you have.
And this kid goes up against some of the most talented wide receivers in the region, because it was a stacked camp day for Oklahoma. There were nationally ranked guys in the 26 cycle, 27 cycle, even 25 at that time. And this kid at cornerback locks them all down. It is as flawless a camp performance as I have ever seen. Does not lose a rep all day. Just wins and wins and wins. And if you didn't know that this was Jason Witten's kid, as many that were in attendance had not yet figured out, man, your jaw was on the floor. What on earth is this white kid doing? Locking down all these receivers.
Say, we got upgraded Cooper DeJour over here.
Ain't no doubt. Like, at the time, that's what everybody's thinking is, who on earth is this baby-face white kid? Oh, come to find out, he's Jason Witten's son. That makes it make a little more sense. But even so, that was the day that Cooper Whitten picked up his very first scholarship offer from the University of Oklahoma. It was well-deserved. And at that point in time, yeah, obviously with a kid like that, it's nice to be able to say you were first to pull the trigger, but I don't know that anyone had any expectation that kid was going to wind up at Oklahoma with the knowledge that his dad played at Tennessee. You're probably thinking, okay, his family's from Tennessee. Jason was a Vol. Cooper Whitten's going to be a Vol too, right? Well, in the year and 9 months thereafter, one development after another continued to point in Oklahoma's direction with Cooper Whitten, the most obvious of which was the hiring of Jason as the Sooners' new tight ends coach in January. Once that happened, yeah, Cooper was coming. It was only a matter of when. He was actually on campus Sunday and Monday. And that is when he committed, turned in his chip. All of the tweets you saw Monday evening from Stacey Ford and Jim Nagy and Lake Dawson. Sometimes those guys will tweet just to hype up the fan base. Sometimes they tweet stuff just to get people excited. But sometimes there's a deeper significance. And there was certainly a deeper significance this time around. And Lake Dawson kind of tipped a hand when he tweeted the photo of the OU poker chip, the all-in chip, signifying a forthcoming commitment. And indeed, that was Cooper Whitten, and he went public yesterday afternoon. Immediately, Grayson, he becomes the highest-ranked defensive pledge in the 27 cycle for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So this is the crown jewel of that side of the football now.
And the third highest rated commitment overall behind the two offensive linemen, Cooper Hackett and Caden Penny as well. So the 2027 class is coming together incredibly nicely. Now, it's interesting with Cooper Whitten because when you look at him, when you just look at him, Parker, yes, he's 6'2", 220, but he seems like he has the body composition of a safety. Mm-hmm. Like he still has that naked eye look of this guy plays safety, not necessarily linebacker. It's probably because he's not like as wide as a linebacker is. Like take Taven Epps, for example. Like Taven Epps looks like a quintessential linebacker, which is interesting because in the 2026 class, they took another guy like that, coincidentally another white dude, Jacob Curry.
Premium crackers.
Yeah. So the question becomes is there a real possibility we could potentially see him at Cheetah, Cooper Whitten? Because I do think with his experience playing safety, obviously he projects to be a linebacker right now. I would keep the door open that he's not playing inside backer potentially his entire time at Oklahoma.
Yeah, the door is certainly open. There is no question about that. And there are some guys that you look at things like the body composition and what they've done at the high school level, positionally speaking, and it stands to reason that they will only ever be linebackers at Oklahoma. Pure linebackers, inside linebackers. In the 26 class, Christian Moore, Bo Jandro, Dane Bathurst, those are linebackers through and through. But Jacob Curry, certainly a guy that offers a little bit of flexibility there and the potential to play Cheetah. The same is true of Cooper Whitten in the 27 cycle. And I'm not entirely convinced, Grayson, that Oklahoma will take another linebacker in 27. That's not to say that they're going to shut off pursuit of a guy like Case Alexander, even though it seems like he's leaning Penn State right now. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to shut themselves off to the possibility of taking another high school linebacker in this 27 cycle. But when you land Cooper Whitten and you land Taven Epps, you're feeling pretty dang good about that haul. And for the second straight cycle, you do have a guy in that haul that offers Cheetah potential in Whitten. And the succession plan beyond Reggie Powers' career at Oklahoma is somewhat indeterminate right now. I think most everyone knows and understands Reggie Powers is the guy at Cheetah. Not the only guy, but more than likely your starter, more than likely the guy that is playing the majority of snaps at that Cheetah spot in 2026, and should he return for his senior year in 2027, that year as well. But once Powers is out the door, once he has graduated, once he has moved on to the professional level, who becomes that guy for Oklahoma? Might it be Jacob Curry? Could it be Cooper Whitten? Could it be one of those bigger-bodied safeties like Markel Ford that's playing a role in the back end at a free safety, for instance, but also sliding down and getting Cheetah snaps in a rotational role as well? You don't necessarily have to have one dude that is your Cheetah when you have guys in both your secondary and your linebacker room that are capable of playing the spot if called upon to do so. And we've heard Nagy talk about this. We've heard Brent Venables talk about this. This is the type of dynamic on that side of the ball that the Sooners would like to cultivate. They want to have a bunch of guys that are capable of playing multiple positions on the football field and can plug in here, plug in there, and enable them to create a multiplicity of different looks to confuse and make life difficult for opposing SEC offenses.
Yeah, and that's what you need in a complex scheme like Brent Venables. And it also makes you hard to game plan against as well. And the other thing with that, too, is that you are not beholden to the whims of injury luck. Because if there's an injury here, okay, cool. We have a surplus of inside linebackers, but a couple of them can slide to Cheetah and be just as effective. So, no, it makes your team a lot better from an injury management standpoint as well as a game planning one. 3-star Glenn from Nashville on the First Liberty Bank text line. Can you talk about his level of competition he plays against? I'm decently familiar with the private schools in the DFW area. Who are some of the opponents that he plays week in and week out in the high school ranks? So I have their schedule pulled up from the 2025 season, Parker, if you want me to go through those.
Yes, by all means.
So they lost to an Anna team at the beginning of the year that's pretty solid.
Anna's good. Yep.
And Anna is solid. That whole Anna Melissa area, by the way, very solid. The best private school team that they played this year probably is Prestonwood Christian down there in Plano.
Alma mater of Austin Stogner, by the way.
Correct. Now, Prestonwood has been good at everything ever since I was in high school. So that's quality competition. Legacy Christian in Frisco, solid. I need to check back in on them. Nolan Catholic, not as great as it used to be quite honest with you. Neither is Parrish. Well, Parrish Episcopal actually is still pretty solid.
Yeah, Parrish has some ballers.
Yeah, they have some guys. And then Bishop Lynch. I need to check in on Bishop Lynch to see if they're still as good as they were when I was in high school about 5-7 years ago. So basically, it's decent.
It's decent.
It's decent. It is not great. It is not terrible. But it's decent competition that they're playing against right now. But what you really have to take from it is when he goes to camps and he's playing against the best of the best across the country, his performances stack up with everybody else. That's what you really have to go by, more so than Liberty Christian's schedule as a private school in Argyle, Texas.
Yeah, he showed time and time again in those types of settings that he belongs against the best in the country, not only in his class, but in classes above him as well. So I'm bullish on Cooper Witten's future at Oklahoma, especially because, man, you talk about the extra level of accountability that's going to exist when your own dad is walking the halls every single day. Cooper Witten's not going to be engaging in any tomfoolery. He's not going to be getting sidetracked by nonsense. I wouldn't be all too concerned about that anyway, but I would hardly say and there might be a few examples to the contrary, but in general, I'm not going to speculate that a guy's going to get involved in off-field nonsense at the collegiate level anyway, but it's especially it's especially a non-issue for me and a non-concern with the knowledge that his dad is going to be there.
I was about to say, there's far less concern when your dad is in the same city and can beat your ass if he needs to.
Yeah, that's a guy that's going to be focused on ball all day, every day.
Especially with how intense his dad was. Drew from Flower Mound correctly points out that Julius Randle also went to Prestonwood.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
Julius Randle went to Prestonwood. I did not realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, Prestonwood, I don't know if they're still as good at basketball. Drew, let me know if you're still down there in the area. I don't know if Prestonwood is still as good as basketball as it was when I was in high school, but they were cold for a while.
Michael from OKC says, Cooper Witten played much better competition than Arch. Fair? I would say that is fair.
That's probably fair.
I would say that is fair.
Bob from Cement says, we don't need any more white dudes. Why don't we recruit any Choctaw Indians?
Yeah, go find the next Jim Thorpe. Hey, you want to head up that operation, Bob from Cement? I would say that Brent Venables and the folks in that building would probably cut you a check to start the process. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. Fire your questions at us. And as Locked In rolls on, we'll continue to talk OU football and recruiting on the other side. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler Standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Are you ready for spring sports season? Gear up like a champion with Balfour & Norman's exclusive apparel for OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics. From the diamond to the gym, we've got the latest shirts, hats, and fan gear that show your Sooner pride in style. Whether you're cheering in the stands or repping your team around town, Balfour of Norman has you covered. Visit us today on Campus Corner or online at crimsonproud.com. Balfour of Norman, where you'll find everything Sooner.
For over 80 years, Primrose Funeral Service has been providing comfort and guidance during difficult times. Pre-planning with Primrose can help make things a little easier for families. Not only can you pre-plan a funeral, but you can pre-plan your sunset cemetery arrangements, which removes the difficulty of planning for a loss at the same time loved ones are experiencing one. Contact Primrose Funeral Service at 405-321-6000 or visit them online at primrosefuneralservice.com.
Looking for your next place to call home? Keystone Property Management in Oklahoma City has beautiful 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhomes at Edmond Town Center, located at the corner of Kelly and Danforth in the heart of Edmond. Plus, we offer spacious single-family homes throughout Oklahoma City and Edmond with options that fit your size, style, and budget. Find the perfect home for your family. Call Drew England at 405-368-1836 or visit us online at KeystonePMOK.com. Keystone Property Management, your key to better living.
No one plans for an injury, but when the worst happens, count on the best orthopedic team to turn your setbacks into comebacks. Ortho Central's comprehensive care has you covered, from expert orthopedic surgery and sports medicine to in-house imaging, physical therapy, and even a bone health clinic. So whether it's a fracture, a tear, or just life catching up with you, we're here to get you moving again. Ortho Central, it's in our bones to take care of yours. Learn more at orthocentralok.com.
Oklahoma, safety starts with you.
If you see something, say something with the free and anonymous Protect OK app. Whether it's a threat to one of our schools, a public safety concern, or a disturbing post on social media, your tip can help prevent crime and keep our schools and communities safe.
Download Protect OK today, because protecting Oklahoma is everyone's responsibility. Available free on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Funded by the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security.
One smile is great, but one smile in a community of smiles is so much better. Smile Train celebrates the cleft lip and palate community by empowering medical professionals in over 70 countries to perform essential cleft care in their local communities. Learn how Smile Train is helping the cleft lip and palate community at smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
My favorite quote of the day just dropped, and it's courtesy of former Auburn basketball head coach Bruce Pearl.
Oh, no.
Who, of course, stepped down from his position a few months ago, and his successor was his son, Steven, who has never been a head coach before and
has done a not-so-good job.
I don't believe he has ever, I could be wrong, I don't think he has ever worked for anybody other than his father. He was in medical sales prior to taking a job on his father's staff as an assistant. But Stephen Pearl, at 38 years old, his dad is and has been his only employer ever until he got the Auburn job. Stephen Pearl is the head coach at Auburn University and has had a rocky first year, to say the least. Bruce Pearl, I guess, was on with Dan Dockich today, and he said the following.
That's 2 days in a row we've mentioned Outkick, by the way.
Yes. Quote, "Am I rooting for my son to make the NCAA tournament? Of course I am. Okay, that seems pretty benign.
Sure.
The next part is crazy. Did I help my son get the job? Nepotism? Of course I did. Well, at least he's honest. He really said, nepotism? Hell yeah.
I mean, shoot, at least be honest about it. Because we all know he didn't deserve that job, and he has proven that this year because they are bad.
Oh, Bruce. You know what? I have to respect it. I have to respect anybody I have to respect anybody that's made enough money and been successful enough that they can just quit caring what anybody and everybody thinks of the stuff they say. That's a wild quote right there. Oh, back to the First Liberty Bank text line here, 405-651-3439. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. A listener in California, Jason in Moore. We need to save his name as such. He is very insistent that we do so. He's tired of getting referred to as a listener in California. Jason in Moore says, I heard that Cooper is the highest-rated linebacker to commit to OU since 2007, Austin Box. And even though I'm super pumped about Whitten, anytime Austin Box is brought up, it just makes me sad. I dealt with a lot of the same issues that he did, and I know we don't do this at OU, but I would be happy with retiring 12 as Austin's number. I even named my daughter Austin after him.
Wait, what do we not do at OU? Is there something I'm missing?
Retiring numbers,
I
think is what he's referring to.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that either, Jason. It's just he happens to wear a number that is very, very common and used often. And so, like, there's a lot of guys, they're going to get to OU, they're going to want to wear the number 12. And so it's not as easy to retire the number 12 permanently for a college football program, especially when you have 105 guys on the roster every single year, as it is for, say, an organization like the New York Yankees, who have 9 guys on the field at once and 26 guys on the roster at once, to retire a more obscure number like, I don't know, who did they retire? Like, I know 46 is retired. I want to say in Andy Pettit's honor. Like, it's easy for them to retire number 46. Not as easy for a school like the University of Oklahoma to retire number 12. But yes, may we all carry the memory of Austin Box with us. No question. Jay in Tulsa says, dang it, Parker, you've brought Outkick into the broadcast 2 days in a row. I feel gross. Sorry, Jay. I see hilarity. It warrants a mention on this show.
Yeah, and you get a lot of it from Outkick. But going back to the nepotism thing, though, like, you do get a little bit more respect points, even though I'm not a fan of Bruce Pearl, like, at all. I'm really not, and I don't think he's been all that excellent on TNT. But I will say I do respect you more when you can admit that you are either a product or a purveyor of nepotism. That's why I like Joe Buck a lot.
Joe Buck is so open about it, man.
Dude, Joe Buck, if you ever listen to a Joe Buck interview, he's like, yeah, I got my jobs because of my dad. What are you talking about?
I've come to like Buck. I didn't like Buck for a long, long time.
I know we've talked about this
Buck.
before.
I have.
You and I are in the same boat there.
Where was I going with that segment prior to that nonsense from Bruce Pearl? I can't remember. Where was I going? Oh, yeah, here's what we were going to talk about.
Okay.
Jamison Roberts coming to town this weekend. And Jamison Roberts on the record this morning with Steve Wiltfong of Rivals said that despite his recent visit to and offer from Florida, Oklahoma is still his number one. So that leaves you feeling pretty good about what could happen this week, what could transpire this weekend between Jamison Roberts and OU, because if Oklahoma remains on top, and he is due in town this weekend, and he has already scheduled his Oklahoma official visit, and I believe at this point it is the only official visit he has scheduled, it's becoming increasingly hard to fathom a world in which Oklahoma's quarterback in the 2027 class is anybody other than Jamison Roberts. And I think this is where the timing of Cooper Whitten's commitment is particularly significant, Grayson, because he's not going to be on campus this weekend for Future Freaks. He has scheduling conflicts. He's not going to be able to attend the rendezvous on Saturday with some of the other OU commits and targets. But landing the number 2 linebacker in the country, landing your highest-rated defensive commit in a class of 14 verbals right now, that's going to generate buzz, and it's going to generate momentum heading into a weekend where you're getting numerous blue chippers on campus with a chance to lock in a few more commitments. And I think the guys immediately that spring to the top of the list that we've talked about are certainly Roberts and his childhood buddy Jalen Scott, the 4-star safety from Mobile, and then that couple of offensive linemen from Kansas, man, Gus Corsair and Tyson Ross. If Oklahoma could go, I would say 2 for 4 there. If by the other side of the weekend they have 2 of those guys locked in, Future Freaks is a win at that point. It's an even bigger win if you manage to pop a surprise like, let's say you get Seneca Driver to shut it down or Bodie Sparrow to shut it down. That's beyond a win.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it a win. If you can get those surprises. If you close the deal on the ones that we expect you to close the deal on, I don't know if I would say it's successful, but I wouldn't go as far as to say, "Oh, that's an unexpected win." A win to me would be like you just laid out, an early lockdown with Sparrow or somebody like that. What you want to do in these is make sure that you make the guys that you have prioritized and build relationships with and are trending for to solidify in their minds that, yep, this is the place for me, I'm good. That's the goal, and that's successful. But to me, they're successful, and then there's the wins. And the wins come when you can do something surprising like, oh, Bodie Sparrow from the state of Utah, I'm cool. Something like that would be, oh, that's a hell of a weekend.
Ain't no doubt. And Oklahoma right now has, depending on the service that you follow and that you trust with recruiting rankings, they have by consensus a top 3 class in the 2027 cycle. They have the most commits in the 27 cycle, as we discussed yesterday. They have 14. No other school has more than 10. I think you said it was Texas A&M. That is the only other school with double-digit commits right now in the 27 cycle. So this is all really rolling ahead of schedule for Oklahoma, and with a few more dominoes that could fall this weekend, man, it's a very easy time to follow and to consume OU recruiting content. There's not nearly as much consternation as there was for much of calendar year 2025 when the question was, okay, what on earth is Oklahoma going to be able to do at wide receiver? Or, man, can Oklahoma replace Taj Overton's spot in the class when they were counting on getting him for the longest time? And, man, there just aren't a whole lot of negative storylines right now. Not a whole lot that concerns you about the way that this 27 class is coming together.
Did Taj Overton end up signing with Missouri?
He did wind up signing with Missouri.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if there was a late twist there. QB1 Tattoo on the YouTube chat gives us a super chat and says, why is Grayson still doing his Parker T voice? I haven't impersonated Parker one time on this show.
It's Tattoo Baker. He's trolling you as he usually does.
Oh, is that Tattoo Baker?
That's Tattoo Baker, yes.
Oh.
He said, oh.
Why the hell did I read that?
Blake from Owasso on the text line wants to know. And by the way, if you have questions, feel free to fire them at us at 405-651-3439. That's the First Liberty Bank text line. Blake wants to know what's the feel on Seneca Driver and OU. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the week, but OU gets Seneca Driver back on campus for Future Freaks. He's scheduled to take the first official visit of his slate to OU in late May. I feel good about Oklahoma's chances right now. I would say they lead. I don't know that the lead is substantial, but I would say they have the edge. And if you ask me who it comes down to, I think the finalists for his pledge will be Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Notre Dame. I think in the end, it's going to be one of those 3 schools for Seneca Driver. And so you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. Don't want to get too optimistic too quickly in the Seneca Driver recruitment, especially when you're dealing with the number 1 prospect in America at the tight end position. But the vibes are good there. The vibes are positive. And Oklahoma has a chance to solidify their status as the lead contender, the front runner in that race for driver this weekend. If there's 2 guys that you want to move the needle with, Grayson, 2 guys that you want to lengthen your lead on the pack with this weekend, it is absolutely Seneca Driver and Bodie Sparrow. Because last week when we talked about the update to the Rivals 300 and the 3 top-ranked uncommitted targets on the board for Oklahoma, Cooper Whitten's already on board. I don't want to neglect Gabe Osborne I guess at that point, those are your three. It's Gabe Osborne, it's Seneca Driver, and Bodie Sparrow. Those are all three top 75 players in America. You go 2 for 3, in addition to all the top 100 talent you've already accumulated, that's huge. That's significant. That's a victory. That keeps you trending for the number 1 class in America. If you can clean sweep those 3, though, hello.
Yeah. On that point, Lucas on the YouTube chat says, why does Parker think we lead for driver when all the insiders have put predictions in for Kentucky to land him?
I mean, why do I think so?
I mean, it's a fair question.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've talked to Driver directly. I've talked to folks on the OU side, and you got to understand there's probably, and I say this in very self-aware fashion, because of the source network that I've accumulated over the years in covering Oklahoma specifically, my intel is probably going to be a bit more slanted towards Oklahoma in general than it will to any other school. But I know I've had conversations with many of those national experts that have entered predictions for Kentucky in Driver's favor, even just within the last few days, and they've said, yeah, hearing what I've heard on the Kentucky side, they're not going to be terribly, well, how do I put this? They're going to do all they can to make sure that he stays within state lines, but I, too, am starting to get the sense, and this is me paraphrasing the vibe from the national side, but all those folks are starting to get the sense as well that Oklahoma is a much more serious player in the driver recruitment than they had probably realized initially. Because, again, you would not consider Oklahoma to be one of the conventional contenders for a guy like Driver, who's from Danville, Kentucky. Not exactly a hotbed for Oklahoma on the trail over the years. So, yes, you're going to give Kentucky the time of day in that recruitment if you're trying to break down the list of contenders. You're going to give Notre Dame the time of day, probably Penn State as well. But Oklahoma, a little bit more of an unconventional top-of-list candidate for a school like Seneca Driver. But make no mistake, even though there are predictions that sit on Kentucky right now, nationally, there is a sense, a growing sense, that Oklahoma is going to be tough to deny in that battle. I think you could see some of those predictions flip as early as next week if things go a certain way between Seneca Driver and Oklahoma. I'm not making you any promises. There are no promises that can be made in recruiting. But as of right now, I believe Oklahoma has the inside track.
One more before we go to break. A texter in the state of Kansas, 316. Corsair family donates to K-State. I think it will be hard to get him away from K-State.
So that's not the sense I've gotten in the Gus Corsair recruitment. Oklahoma leads, has led. That's been the consensus. I think most everyone across the industry would concur with that assessment. And, you know, I have plenty of colleagues and friends on the K-State side. I'm starting to lose it, Grayson.
No, you got it.
I have friends and colleagues on the K-State side that have kind of conceded. And these were folks that, make no mistake, they knew long before Lincoln Cure ever committed to K-State that Lincoln Cure was committing to K-State. Even when it seemed like the weirdest thing in the world that a 5-star would choose the Wildcats over OU and Oregon and Notre Dame and every single offer in the country because that's what Lincoln Cure had. A lot of those same people are of the opinion right now that everybody has to make up ground on Oklahoma. And in talking to sources very close to that process over the last couple of weeks, the sense has been that even if Corsair winds up taking other visits this spring, it's probably not going to change much. And Oklahoma is going to remain in the catbird seat. So, we shall see. If this is, if you could liken the recruiting cycle to a golf tournament, March through May is moving day. This is where you make your big move on the trail. And this is where you position yourself for a victory. Sure, there will be some victories that come early, i.e. Cooper Whitten yesterday for Oklahoma, but this is where you set things up to take care of business during OV season and seal the deal with a kid like Corsair. And it may not take till OV season for OU to seal the deal there. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. One more segment of Locked In on the other side. This is the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is the Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Good times are calling your name at the Showplace Theater with acts like Randy Rogers Band, April 17th. Aaron Lewis and the State Liners, April 24th. Don Felder, April 25th. And Earth, Wind, and Fire, May 9th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
In Norman, great food and great company come together at Louie's Grill and Bar. Legendary burgers, ice-cold beer, and a lively atmosphere make it an easy choice any day of the week.
Louie's Grill and Bar. Good vibes, great food, and always a good time. Louie's Grill and Bar, an Oklahoma favorite. Tune in every Friday to hear more about the Hal Smith Restaurant Group during The Rush and the Deari DeJour Show on the Ref.
Warren Cat is a proud sponsor of the KREF app and Sooner Athletics. Our new store off I-35 in Norman is ready to support your equipment needs. From industry-leading Cat compact machines to reliable lift and electric power solutions, we have rental, purchase, and finance options to get you to work quickly. Plus, world-class parts and service to keep you up and running. Visit us in Norman. Click on the Warren Cat logo in the app or search Warren Cat. Whatever the job, whatever it takes. Hey, it's Deari DeJour for Totally Tickets. Hey, Ref Army, you looking for the best place to buy tickets to your next OU game, Thunder game, or the best concerts? My friend Mike, call him Fletch, and Totally Tickets has you covered. Visit TotallyTickets.com to find your event today. Oh, and good news, Ref Army, just type in the promo code KREF and get up to 10% off your purchase. Go to TotallyTickets.com now. They are the best.
Courtyard Marriott Norman offers affordable and stylish accommodations, featuring an on-site bar and bistro and classic Southern hospitality. They're conveniently located off of I-35 and West Robinson Street, close to shopping and dining options, and provide quick commutes to local attractions such as the Lloyd Noble Center, Love's Field, and L. Dale Mitchell Ballpark. Courtyard Norman, 405-701-8900. That's 405-701-8900.
The big dance and big-time prizes are almost here from the home of Sooner fans. Mark your calendars on Monday, March 16th for the Ref's 25th annual 6018 giveaway at the newly renovated Buffalo Wild Wings in Moore off 19th Street. From noon to 7 for your chance to win with the big dance or one of our many instant prizes. The Ref's 25th annual 6018 giveaway is brought to you by Riverwind Casino, Armstrong Bank, the Central Oklahoma Buick GMC dealer, Buffalo Wild Wings, Mitchell's Jewelry, First Liberty Bank, McIntyre Law, Fowler Automotive, Cavens Group, First United Bank, Signature Custom Pools, DM Wealth Management, Valiance Bank, Signature Pool and Patio, Great Nations Bank, and many more. That's the Ref's 25th annual 6018 giveaway, presented by Riverwind Casino, the Central Oklahoma GMC dealers, and Buffalo Wild Wings on Monday, March 16th.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
Final segment of Locked In. It's the Ref Sports Radio Network, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton with you. Tying a bow on the Gus Corsair conversation, Craig in Cleveland astutely points out via the First Liberty Bank text line, Venables can swing a K-State kid. He was one himself. Very
Facts.
true. And I think that same principle applies to another question that we fielded on the text line, 405-651-3439. It was Slim Brady that asked, what are the vibes with Ben Kolar? Well, right now, Grayson, I get the sense that Oklahoma's primary competition happens to be the University of Tennessee.
Interesting. Okay.
I tend to like Jason Witten's odds against that particular competition.
I mean,
wouldn't you?
You would imagine, yeah.
As Whitten himself is an alumnus of the University of Tennessee.
What is he going to start negative recruiting against his school?
I think he would be quite. I think he would be quite motivated to make that kind of a statement on the
Jason Witten going to be over here talking about, hey, all right, let me tell you about what sucks.
Yeah, let me tell you all the things that I hated about my college days at Tennessee.
So this place in Knoxville has roaches. You know, you got a little bit of mold here, and they don't have Caven's group to help them out here. Yada, 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 so on and so forth.
By the way, should mention that it's a no-brainer. But our recruit of the day is Cooper Whitten, fresh off his commitment to the University of Oklahoma. He was going to be our recruit of the day yesterday if his commitment had dropped in time, but he left us 90 seconds and nothing more. So we had to postpone it for a day, but Cooper Whitten is today's recruit of the day.
Brought to you by Keystone Property Management, offering 3-bed and 2.5-bath townhomes at Edmond Town Center and spacious single-family homes at OKC and Edmond. They've got affordable options to fit your needs and budget, so discover your next home with Keystone Property Management in Oklahoma City. Contact Drew England at 405-368-1836 or visit KeystonePMOK.com.
Jim in Arlington, by the way, on the text line adds, Grayson, don't feel bad. There are entire fan bases and universities that have been duped by Tattoo Baker.
Yeah.
He's probably the most iconic troll on OU Twitter.
Yeah, so I've seen.
There is no shame in getting hoodwinked by that man.
If somebody put Tattoo Baker in a place of authority, Tattoo Baker could take down entire regimes with misinformation.
He would wreak some havoc.
Imagine if Tattoo Baker, I'll tell you this, imagine if Tattoo Baker wanted to expand his misinformation in the internet, he could rival NBA Centel.
Misinformation is big business these days, unfortunately.
Hence NBA Centel.
Puerto Rican Sooner says, it's almost Parker's favorite season. Bradford pear bloom season. Shut up about the Bradford pear, Puerto Rican Sooner.
I'm about to say, he's already sick.
I don't need to be angry on this fine Wednesday. Don't get me angry. You don't want to see angry Parker. Angry Parker plus sick Parker, not a good combination at all. Last thing I wanted to get to today.
Now I'm kind of wondering what that looks like.
Yeah, you don't want to know. Last thing I wanted to get to today is the situation with Deari DeJour. Because this is not a new predicament that OU faces with DeJour and Grayson. We've talked about it before, but it's becoming more and more real. He's going to take other visits this spring, and he may take other OVs this summer. And so just looking at this from the outside in, you're talking about a top 100 prospect in America. It's one of the absolute fastest prospects, regardless of position in the country. He's going to continue to be a priority target, a flip target for schools like Miami and like UCLA and like Cal and others. I do believe he's only been to Oklahoma once. I think his only previous visit to OU was for the Michigan game last fall where he committed. He's due back on campus in Norman this weekend for Future Freaks. But if you had to handicap it, I mean, how confident are you right now, just based on what we know and what lies ahead in the DeJour recruitment, that he winds up signing with Oklahoma?
Well, it's going to depend upon how he responds to your aforementioned tough conversations that you talked about at the beginning of the 12 o'clock hour. That there will be some sort of conversations being had between Oklahoma and DeJour because DeJour is, trying to play the field while being in a committed relationship right now. And it's gonna depend on how they approach that and how he responds to it. If you are coming in there with the mindset of, like you just laid out, that he's going to take other visits, I would say that the percentages are dwindling that he ends up in Oklahoma's class, just because he's probably going to tick off Oklahoma, and Oklahoma, especially with the way they have operated under Jim Nagy, is not shy of saying, screw it. and going to recruit your replacement and potentially locking down your replacement. So just given the way that Oklahoma likes to navigate these things, if DeJour does anything other than capitulate to what Oklahoma is going to lay out in front of him when he comes to town this weekend, then I think the percentages go way down of him actually ending up in the class.
I believe when I talked to Keldred Ben a few weeks ago about a similar conversation he had with Brent Venables, he termed it a come to Jesus talk. And that's probably what it's going to be this weekend with Deari DeJour. Probably going to be along the lines of, hey, man, look, if you want to take other visits, that's fine, but we're not going to keep doing this. You need to just go ahead and decommit if you're going to take other visits, because we can't have you going here, there, and everywhere while you're still committed to Oklahoma. That has never been the norm. I mean, my brain is working at about 40% of its usual speed and capacity today, so please correct me if I'm wrong on the text line. I don't believe that there's ever been an OU commit that, while committed to OU, took visits to multiple other schools. We have seen in the past that an OU commit might take the occasional visit here or here or here. Like, they may take one visit apiece, in essence. I'm not saying there's like a one-off proviso that Venables and the staff have created for their commits, but generally how it goes is a kid that's committed to OU will take a visit to one other school, and then if he doesn't decommit, at that point, he usually just shuts it down, is like, okay, I'm signing with OU. Rarely, if ever, have we seen a commit go through the whole song and dance from a recruiting standpoint while pledged to OU and then wind up sticking with his pledge. And I can't imagine OU is going to be all that eager to play that game with DeJour. So I would think the conversation this weekend with that kid is going to be, hey, look, either shut this thing down, cancel your other visits, or just go ahead and decommit. Doesn't mean we have to go our separate ways. We'll still recruit you. We want to see you back in the fold eventually. But if you're going to visit all over the country and check out other options, then you can't continue to act as though you are, quote-unquote, committed to us.
Yeah, exactly. Or I think there's an option C here. Don't commit this early.
Yes.
Like, just go through the whole process and don't commit this early. Commit when you're ready to lock things down. And I always give the dating analogy. Would you let your girl go on dates with other dudes while still being in a relationship with you? The answer is probably not.
I personally would not.
I would not do that either. I'm not really into that thing.
No,
I know there are some people that might be, but
back in my dating days, that would not have flown.
No, it would not have. Not with me either.
No. But you look at the 4 commits that Oklahoma has from California, and here's the other thing that makes you feel a little bit different about the DeJour situation than with the other 3: Jackson Stokes, Elijah Harmon, and Taven Epps. All 3 of those guys have been on campus with Oklahoma multiple times. And it was not until they took multiple visits to campus that they locked in their pledges. So you didn't feel like that was an emotional spur-of-the-moment decision to make the commitment to Oklahoma for Epps or for Stokes or for Elijah Harmon. With Deari DeJour, especially with what he's said and what he plans to do this spring with all of the other schools that are still involved in his recruitment, I don't think it's inaccurate to assert that there was probably a bit more emotion that went into his initial decision than he was acknowledging at the time.
Let me ask you this one last thing, because we're running short of time.
Yeah.
Are there players who are good enough for Oklahoma to not force that ultimatum on them? Is there a point where there's a prospect where Oklahoma says, all right, we want him this bad, we'll play the song and dance?
Well, I think here's what my response to that would be. DeJour is certainly a premier prospect,
and that's why I asked the question.
He's one of those guys that you don't just say, okay, screw off, go somewhere else. But I think you're probably, if only for optics' sake, telling that kid, okay, if you're going to take other visits, just go ahead and decommit. and we will still recruit you. You can still OV here. We still would like to see you end up here. But if you're going to be going all over the country, you can't be verbally committed to the University of Oklahoma because you're signifying that commitment doesn't mean much of anything.
Optics to who, though?
The public.
Okay. Like it could be optics to the other commits, the other guys you're targeting, or the fans. Like who is this directed at? But that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody. Pretty all-encompassing there. Well, we'll stay on top of it, and hopefully, for Oklahoma's sake, the outcome of those conversations which adjourn this weekend is a favorable one. That's it for this Hump Day installment of Locked In. I'm going to go take a nap.
You deserve
Sleep
one.
off this sickness. Coming up next, it's The Rush with Tyler and Travis.